So Mr. Z here asked us a question about helping. And I said helping is a very good thing. Volunteering is a very good thing as well. And a person should volunteer. It's very important to give, to teach yourself, to give from yourself for others, not always for a monetary compensation. Not everything has to do with money. On the contrary, it's more satisfying and more fulfilling when you give something from yourself for a noble cause or for whatever it is. I mean, for example, Sam uploads our videos here, so that's very good. That's fulfilling for him. At least he knows that nobody will take his job. That's his job. You know, whatever it is. For a person who doesn't really, in our society today, is everything has to be, rational. You want something from me, pay for it, right? There's no such thing as giving. So therefore, volunteering and helping is a very good thing. It teaches you to become a better person, a better father, a better husband, a better Jew, because it's all about giving and sharing. Besides your spliff, that you don't share. But, giving from yourself is a wonderful thing. However, it has to also be, there's a limit to everything. And why is there a limit to everything? Because everything has to be balanced in this world. Balanced. You can have too much din, you can have too much chesed. It has to be balanced. But by the fact of balance, we say that there has to be a equally opposing force to actually create the balance. Because if there's only din and no chesed, there's never going to be balance. If there's only chesed, there's no din, there's never going to be balance. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world, He created this world out of midat hadin. And then he says, listen, the world cannot function like this. So he introduced midat chesed with it, and now midat chesed and midat hadin are joining together in running this world. So therefore you have to have the opposing thing. Yes, you cannot give to yourself, from yourself, to a point that is actually going to harm you or your efforts. You have a lot of excess resources, whether it's time, abilities, and so on and so forth, even money to give to the other, but you can't give it. You see it in halachot tzedakah. Even if you are a wealthy person, you have a lot of money, you're not supposed to give more than half of your profits. Why? Because you might come to full burden on others. I mean, that's excessive giving, and in the end you're going to be left with nothing. That also has to be in control. So how much do we have to give? Well, 10% is okay. 20% that's what we refer to, midat tova. 10%, don't give more than half. There's a limit. However, there's a minimum you have to give. I don't know, that's the minimum a year, let's say $1, $1.50. You have to give a year. Even ani hamitparnes min tzedakah, even a poor person that all his income is from tzedakah, he too has to give. He can't already receive, he has to give. There has to be a limit, and you need to know those boundaries. We have situations when it's only chesed. Even HaKadosh Baruch Hu that acts with us with extra chesed than what we deserve. There's also midat hadin, but midat hadin for us is a little bit more removed. It's not always like this. For a tzaddik, it's different. When we say tzaddik veralo rasha v'tovlo, because we measure things according to our eyes. But for the tzaddik, the person who lives on a higher level, for him he's more oriented with midat hadin than midat chesed because he's capable of doing that. So we can measure, of course, things. Now, in your mother's womb, there's only giving. She's only chesed. And that's why you're inside the rechem. The rechem, the womb, in Hebrew, rechem, mishum rachamim. Mercy. She's only giving. And once you out of your mommy, right, you also, she gives you. She takes the din, she turns it into the chesed. She takes the blood and it turns into milk. But at a certain point, you have to give back. And how are you going to give back? Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha, and so on and so forth. Once you're able, we have started introducing this. You have to give something in return. You have to give something in return. Society is giving so much to you, you have to give back. Your rabbis have give something so much to you, you have to give back. You were taught, you have to teach. That's the way it works. So you can't just give to no end. That also has to be. The chesed is surrounding the din from expanding and creating an unbelievable and an impossible situation to live. However, the din is also surrounding a little bit the chesed from expanding too much. She'amar le'olamo dai. Shem Shaddai, Shin Dalet Yud, She'amar le'olamo dai. In other words, it has to be balanced. It's like the ocean. Water is chesed, right? Also, as vast as the oceans are, they're limited by the shoreline. The biggest ocean ends in the shoreline. The biggest chesed also is. How much chesed there is? Well, look at the world and you get an idea. What, 70% of the earth is water? 70% of you is water? How much? 70% of us is water? Mm-hmm. The rest is fire inside of us. However, it has to be done with harmony. The body, the fire, cannot boil your water, right? You'll be too much yang, the havdil, and you can have very little fire and too much water, and then you're going to be too much yang. You're not going to have any energy. It has to be balanced. Your job is to maintain the balance. Maybe the most difficult actor is out there. However, you have to acknowledge the other part as well. You have to have the other part as well. If there is good, there has to be bad. For that you might understand what Chazal tells us, Kol hagadol michavero, yitzro gadol mimeno. Because if the person is so great, he also has to have a great yetzer hara to balance it out. Let's say Michael has a yetzer hara, just this big, but maybe because he's also this big. You would not be able to handle his yetzer hara because you're not qualified to it. However, if yetzer hara is greater than yetzer tov, it's a problem. That's how we create also choice, free choice. I can do this, I can do this. Ra v'tov, chaim v'mavet. You understand? Don't be too concerned about giving. Give. But also to a limit. In other words, you have to make sure that you're doing something for yourself. So, let's say, for example, you need to babysit your sister, or your brother and your sister. So you do it once, you do it twice. At a certain point, if you're going to babysit your sister all the time, you're going to miss a whole daf of Gemara. Then you're going to miss another daf of Gemara. Then you're behind, you're not learning anymore. That's a problem. There's a limit to everything. That's why we have priority. This is greater than this, and this is greater than that. And Talmud Torah, keneged kulam. Shabbat shalom.